class of the object is, you just simply say try these set of commands, and if it doesn't work, just don't do anything at all and just keep going. Just keep trying it. So what I'm going to do now again is I'm going to highlight the entire for loop, shift enter. It says OK as it's after wrapping through everything, and it's set the iterations of this spring controller iterations to 0. So this will do all the spring controllers that lie in a list on the object. Let's actually make ourselves a toolbar to handle that. We're going to say customize, and we're going to go to toolbars, new, and we'll go call it something, character controls, say OK. That gives us this little toolbar that we can now add buttons to. You can drag and drop buttons out of the Customize User Interface dialog, or you can actually drag and drop code right into it, and it'll write the macro script for you. So we're going to use this as the off. We're going to highlight it and drag it in, and it creates a button now. And if I set this back to an iterations of 2, hit that button, it now sets it back to iterations of 0. Dragging and dropping it onto here has actually written the code for us. If I right click on it and pick Edit Macro Script, you can actually see the macro script. There's the code that we wrote, and it's written it in the macro script header, wrapped it around it, and generated a macro script for us. This has been stored in the 3D Studio Max 6 UI macro scripts folder, and I'll just go to that point here, and it'll be called drag and drop macro 3 MCR. So I've got drag and drop macro 3 MCR. So there's my code there. So I could open this up, retitle it to something that's more obvious and more useful. Change the category from drag and drop to my character tools, whatever. Add a tooltip so that when the mouse is over top of the button, it actually pops up, tells you what it is. There are other options you can add to macro scripts as well that you can find in the help. You can even set the name of it and whatnot can show up. You could doctor that right in here as well and say customize, edit button appearance, and say tooltip, and write this in here. Let's see, spring off, and button text, spring off. And now you can see the button is showing up. With different information on it. You can define that as well right in the macro scripts though, with the tooltips and the name of it and everything, instead of having to override it with the this item here. I would suggest personally doing it in, right in the script itself. So now let's set it so we have one for turning it on. So I'm just going to change it to a value of 2. Drop that in there, and now again I can say edit button appearance. Spring on. Now I've got my 2 buttons. Give it a quick test. Turns all the springs on. I have now one that turns all the springs off. As more advanced max script methods, you could also get into writing callback scripts that would sit and wait for the scene to render, and it would automatically go through, find all the spring controllers, and turn them all on for render time, and turn them all off on post-render so that they all shut back off again, so that when you open the file they're not already turned on. This is great ways of automating your pipeline, your character pipeline, to be able to handle more complicated characters and whatnot that have intricacies to them that need to be adjusted. You could also create interfaces and tool sets that would be on floating panels, much like the sets of tools that I write that have got many tools involved in them. And again, this is all Mac script that can control different things about Macs. So you could also add areas to control things like the effect and whatnot. You may have to animate these over time to get them to work correctly. So instead of having to find the object and dig through into the motion panel to find the controls, it might be better for the animator or whoever's setting it up if they had a floating panel that already worked on everything in the character, and they didn't have to go hunting for things. So you could build UIs like that. Again, the advanced series will deal more with setting up those kinds of control panels.